Hey everybody, how's it going? I think we're just about to go live here, so let me know if you can hear me. We're gonna get started here. I see there's a whole bunch of you in the chat already. Welcome to the stream. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Yeah, let me know if you guys can see me. Everything's working. You got my audio, and then we'll get started here. Awesome. Okay, I'm starting to see. All right. Beautiful. Well, I hope you guys are all having a good weekend so far. The weather here in Ontario, where I've been, has been pretty nice over the past 2 days. I did a little bit of yard work yesterday, so at least there's some positive there that the weather's a little bit nicer out here. Okay, yeah. Hey everybody, I think you guys can hear me all right. Awesome. Thanks so much. So much love in the chat. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. We are gonna listen in on Trudeau's speech that he's gonna do today. If you're not up to date with it, there's been the Liberal National Convention going on all weekend, right? I believe it was actually Thursday, and it's going. This is the last day of it. Like, this is the headline closer. The last person at the concert at the Liberal Convention is Justin Trudeau, doing his address. So that's where this is. That's the context of where this is. But all over the past weekend, we've heard some information on what the Liberal Party's priorities are going to be going forward, right? And this is especially important because, as many of us have recognized, it feels like there's going to be an election this year, or at least rather soon. Now, as of right now, Justin Trudeau essentially is the person who's responsible for calling an election. You may have recognized this from other previous videos where I mentioned it, but NDP leader Jagmeet Singh said, hey, you know what? We don't want an election right now. And as a result, if they support all of the Liberals' motions in the House of Commons, there won't be a cause for a vote of no confidence, which is what triggers an election, right? Because the NDPs are willing to support the Liberals, it seems like they can stay in power for as long as they want right now. But currently they have a minority government, so there's some people saying, hey, Justin Trudeau might just call an election for some unrelated reason in order to try to get a majority, because the Liberals have been polling rather well lately. Yeah, I'm seeing people in the chat. Let me pull this up. I've got on my other screen, I've got like the video where he's actually going to do the speech when it pops up. So don't worry, we're not missing it. We're going to tune into that as soon as that happens. But let's take a look at the chat here for a little bit, see how it's going. Hey guys, I'm gonna put you there. Oh no, there. Good. Okay. The cameras are so weird doing things backwards. Yeah, it's nice to see everyone here. Let me know where you're from. Where are you tuning in from? If you haven't caught a live stream here on the channel before, hey, welcome to one of these live streams. I hope you've been enjoying the videos on the channel. We do these live streams whenever there's some sort of live event that we want to cover, live analysis, and sometimes just to chat and hang out. There's a lot of people hanging out in the chat whenever we do these, so introduce yourself. Yeah, okay, I'm seeing lots of people. We got people from Ottawa, from Saskatchewan, Durham. Hey, you're neighbor to me. Waterloo, Ottawa, tuning in from Saskatchewan. Awesome, Terry. We got Hillary from Ridgeway. Very cool. Just tuned in from Toronto, Kelowna, BC. I love it. Yeah, hey, Canadian Pakistani. That's awesome. Saying hey to you. From Surrey, BC. So cool. Man, it's so much fun hanging out here with everyone, and we get a good representation from everyone across the country. Yeah, so what are we expecting in this Trudeau speech? Anyone have any thoughts on what do you think is going to be most heavily covered? If you caught my video on the channel today, it seems like there's a lot of emphasis going on right now on childcare. Krista Freeland on Thursday night had a thing. It was called like Building a Better, Stronger, More Resilient Canada, kind of broadly worded. And it was actually not about everything related to the economy or everything related to Canada. They decided, even though it was titled so broadly, to focus this in really hard on a national childcare strategy. So, yeah, it seems like that's their focus, and that's what's going to be in the federal budget here. And that's on April 19th. So we're going to also be doing a live stream on April 19th when we get the budget and we can actually get our hands on what's actually going on here. Yeah. So again, if you're just tuning in, thanks for tuning in. We are going to get started as soon as this live stream starts with Trudeau's speech. Now, this is at the National Liberal Policy Convention, so it's likely he's going to be doing this to a rather warm audience, right? Most of the people watching are going to be into it. Jadden says, CRB getting extended or UBI? So right now, we don't know if CRB is going to be extended past the end date of June for people who have been applying since the beginning. And UBI, I think it certainly wouldn't be locked in or how do I phrase this? The budget has been prepped for quite a while now, and just as we speak right now, the Liberal Party is voting on UBI. Now, I think I saw someone in the chat say that they had access to where the current polling is on all the different votes from the resolutions. If anyone has a link to that, let me know. You can send it to me on Discord, on the Discord server. There's a link in the description. We chat in there as well on the Discord. I'll actually show you. Let me pull this up. We'll go full screen observe. Yeah, so this is what I'm waiting on. Okay, of course that goes away. Yeah, this is what I'm waiting on, right? This is the live stream of the Liberal National Convention. That's where Trudeau's going to be speaking. But I was just about to show you, if I ever am asking for some help on these streams, to send me a link to something so I can show everybody, the best way to do it is through Discord here. There's a link in the description for the Discord server, and you can hop in here and we have conversations about all these things, introducing yourself, Canada benefits, Canada news, investing, real estate, personal finance. We chat in there. I'll keep the general tab open here for during this live stream. So if I'm ever asking you to send me any links or anything like that would be the best place to do it. Yeah, so we're looking right now to see if we can find any links or any information on where the polling is right now, because just like at this Liberal convention, Justin Trudeau speaking, one of the main things that will be going on at this convention is the vote on so many different policies and things they want to sort of bring into the Liberal Party's platform. Now, if one of these policies gets voted through, it's not a guarantee that it's going to become a reality here in Canada, but what it does do is it sends this policy to the platform committee. I believe that's what I read. They'll send it to the platform committee, and if they think, hey, we can get enough support for this in an election, then at that point, that's when they'll actually start campaigning on it and making these promises. If UBI is involved in that could be something interesting. And last time they campaigned largely on this childcare platform, along with a bunch of other different things. Yeah. All right, so thanks for tuning in, everybody. Again, I'll show you. We are just waiting on this this speech to start up. We've got this. And if you guys tuned in for my live stream earlier, I had a little bit of camera issues. So now, introducing the low-quality backup camera. So if my camera wipes out, then we're going to be able to keep this going. But right now, we're waiting on this Justin Trudeau speech to actually begin. I'm drinking some black coffee out of my Pokemon mug today. This is one of my favorites. Got it years ago. Oh, thanks so much for the kind words in the chat, you guys. Thanks so much. All right, we've got, you do a great, okay, thank you so much. New promises, news and entertainment. How about charitable? Where in Durham are you from? I'm from the Whitby area. Childcare, kids don't need anything. The people need to get back to work. Interesting take. Yeah, it's definitely, I talk a lot about that in my most recent video. He's waiting for a speech written by Klaus Schwab. Yeah. So many interesting things here in the chat. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Let's pull up what is expected in this speech. I'm sure there's an article on it that we can be sort of doing a deep dive on here while we wait for him to actually pop up here on this stream. All right. Let me see here. Okay. All right. So yeah, I'm expecting childcare to be included in here. Here's one from Global News saying, okay, this is rather up to date. Oh, all right. Let me pull this up for you. It seems like they might start to have the results here of what's been going on in the voting. Again, if anyone has the link to those voting results, I've been having trouble finding it. Remember, everyone's voting on like a whole bunch of different resolutions and whether or not it's going to be included in the Liberal Party's policy going forward. But we'll full screen this, and it's okay. I'm going to pull up my, this is what I use to annotate. If anyone wants an app recommendation, I love Epic Pen for this. All right. So Liberals approve pharmacare, basic income, and long care standards during convention. Okay, maybe the results are here, you guys. Let's get into this. Again, I'm going to put my headphones on just so that I hear on the other tab here. I want to make sure that I can hear this, make sure we don't miss anything from the event here. Okay, beautiful. That's turned all the way up. Let's take a look here and see. Oh my goodness. Did anyone have those days where they just can't find the right tab on their computer that they want to get to? Oh, wow. Okay, here we go. So grassroots liberals have overwhelmingly endorsed a resolution calling on the federal government to develop and implement a universal basic income, despite Prime Minister Trudeau's apparent lack of enthusiasm for the idea. The resolution, co-sponsored by the Liberal caucus, passed by a vote of 491 to 85 Saturday. Wow, 491 to 85 on, I wonder which UBI policy proposal that was. Remember, I don't know if you watched the video previously, but there was one that we talked about. There were two different UBI proposals inside of this policy convention that they were voting on. One used a little bit more strong language. It was like, we want you to implement this. And the second one was like, hey, let's do more studies on this. So it'd be interesting to see what's there. Yeah, Des says UBI, I'll have to eat a crow. Sandra, Taylor, UBI is accepting yeah, there's lots of different takes. Like some people think that this could be a solution for a lot of problems, and some people think like, hey, like this is just gonna disincentivize people from working. There's so many different views on so many different sides of things. So yeah, it certainly is a controversial thing. It's something that, like, I think on this channel, it's okay to talk about these controversial things. Like you see these. Oh, we hear some funk music. Do you guys hear that? Okay. And it's here and then gone. Do we have like a live stream now for this? Oh, okay. This session isn't live at the moment, it's saying. Okay. Maybe I'm just going to unfull screen this so I can go between these two links. Here's Pro Move. I just put them in the same tab. Yeah, this is, yeah. Okay, so the resolution co-sponsored by the Liberal caucus passed a vote of 491 to 85 Saturday at the governing party's virtual convention. Okay, it will automatically become official party policy along with 10 other top priority resolutions that were fast-tracked at the convention. Oh, wow. So this is the fast-track one. Okay, let's see if we can dig into these, right? So right now we're just talking about the UBI resolutions that seem to have passed at the Liberal convention. So here it's saying in this global article that it will automatically become official party policy along with 10 other top priority resolutions that were fast-tracked. I made a video about this a couple days ago, but there were two different ways that these policies could be debated and voted on here. And what has actually happened here is the ones that were fast-tracked, the ones that didn't have to be voted on by the national prioritization vote to be able to be voted on again at this convention. So the fast-track one is the one that passed. This is the one that was pushed forward without actually being prioritized. So the fast-track one, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the fast-track one was the one with the looser language, the one that was... Okay. Okay.
Absolutely, Mona. This has been an inspiring
Let me know if you guys can hear this.
One that we will not soon forget.
It seems like this is the intro for Trudeau.
Almost the moment that we've been waiting for. We will hear from our leader. But as we get ready to do that, I'm honored to introduce a very dear colleague of ours, the Member of Parliament for Beauséjour, Dominique Leblanc. À toi, Dom.
So thank you very, very much, Marcy. Bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening, fellow Liberals. I have the immense pleasure to speak briefly this evening and then introduce our leader and our Prime Minister. Okay. Let me begin by thanking all of you for participating, for attending sessions at this convention, for
throughout this I'm going to be taking notes on what's being said, so let me know if my clacking of my keyboard's too loud.
I've been
I'll
lucky
try
enough
to
to
turn
be
off my
attending
mic.
conventions like these. Obviously this is our first virtual one, but I've been lucky enough to be attending conventions like these since I was a young Liberal or a young political staffer, or obviously since I was lucky enough to join the National Caucus 20 years ago as a Member of Parliament from New Brunswick. The virtual convention, it's not the same feeling as seeing old friends and being with one another physically, but obviously it's the safe and appropriate way for us to continue this important tradition of our party at this difficult moment in our country's history. Votre énergie, votre engagement,
your energy and your commitment and your ideas
jamais de nous inspirer et nous motiver. Et j'ai l'immense privilège de servir comme député.
Did you guys hear that?
Et c'est grâce à des personnes comme vous, à des bénévoles qui bâtissent un mouvement politique inclusif, progressiste et innovateur. My friends, our party is strong, our party is united, it's inclusive,
Dan, you can translate.
But it's also dedicated to serving all Canadians and every part of our country. As Liberals, we've always debated ideas, as we have in the past few days, about how to build a resilient, sustainable economy, about how to effectively tackle issues as critical as climate change, and how to put a price on pollution, all essential to building a growing and prosperous and sustainable economy. Nous utilisons ces congrès, non pas pour nier, par exemple, l'existence même des changements climatiques, comme font les conservateurs, mais pour discuter des politiques, pour mieux protéger les Canadiens pendant des moments si difficiles et pour renouveler notre engagement fondamental de lutter, par exemple, contre les changements climatiques et bâtir une économie durable pour tout le monde. Our work these past days as Liberals has been focused squarely on Canadians, on how to support and protect all Canadians during these difficult moments, and how to lead Canada into a strong, sustainable, inclusive economic recovery that leaves nobody behind and leaves no region of our country behind. I never cease to be inspired and motivated by conventions like these. Liberals stick together and are united at the difficult moments our country has faced in the past and will always continue to draw strength from one another. Cet esprit d'équipe, cette unité que nous voyons ces derniers jours lors de notre congrès, ce sont les mêmes sentiments qui guident notre caucus et notre Conseil des ministres. Mr. O'Toole and the Conservatives, well, they have a different focus than us. They spend their time going in circles wondering whether or not climate change is real, or how they can weaken the constitutional rights of women, ou comment ils peuvent prétendre qu'ils sont en faveur.
They're referencing how at the conservative version of this, they weren't able to pass a thing that was saying, hey, we want to add this to our policy, that climate change is real. Now, there was a little bit of funny business with everything that was said, but we'll get into that later.
But I remember an evening a few weeks ago where they voted 8 times no confidence in the government. Rather bizarre behavior from people who don't want an election. Mr. O'Toole seems like a leader who wants to play chicken, always hoping somebody else swerves. Well, those aren't the qualities Canadians expect of a real leader.
This is more aggressive
Nos
than
amis
usual.
au Bloc, ils sont des experts, comme dit souvent notre ami Pablo Rodriguez, ils sont des experts à essayer de fabriquer des chicanes, à essayer de prétendre que le gouvernement du Canada ne peut pas travailler avec les provinces pour aider et appuyer les Canadiens, même dans les moments les plus difficiles. Notre Premier ministre, Justin Trudeau, a démontré clairement lors des 29 dernières réunions avec tous les premiers ministres des provinces et des territoires, et ça, juste depuis les 12 derniers mois. Il a démontré que notre gouvernement veut et peut travailler avec les gouvernements des provinces, y compris le gouvernement du Québec, dans l'intérêt des Canadiens.
I need to hire a translator to come on these streams
lui
for
faisait
everyone.
partie d'un gouvernement qui n'avait même pas le courage, pendant les 9 années qu'ils étaient au pouvoir, de rencontrer les premiers ministres des provinces et des territoires. I have been enormously privileged in my lifetime to know our leader and our prime minister since we were literally kids. In fact, I've known him most of my life. Our mothers were friends for over 40 years, and our dads were friends for over 50 years. When I was 14 years old, the Prime Minister's mother and father, in what, with hindsight, appears to be a moment of some worrisome judgment, asked me to babysit the then 10-year-old Justin, 8-year-old Sasha, and 6-year-old Michelle. So I was the one who led our collective efforts to play telephone jokes on our friends' parents, or ring doorbells and then run away and hide behind the bushes in the neighborhood where we lived in Ottawa. and family weekends spent together skiing at Mont-Tremblant when we were kids cemented a friendship for me, which has been important and enduring.
For everyone just tuning in, this is the intro to Justin Trudeau's speech that he's about to give at the Liberal National Convention. We're expecting him to talk on many different topics, the ones in the title of this video. It seems like a UBI vote has actually passed in the Liberal government that's going to allow it to be part of the policy for the Liberal government going forward. Now, we're going to get into more details on exactly which one that was after the speech during this live stream, so make sure to stick around and tune in if you want more details on that throughout this. It was scheduled for 4:30 for Trudeau to start speaking, but we're a little bit past that. But the intro started then, so that's not too bad.
Et ensuite le Premier ministre du Canada. Et depuis les 12 dernières années que nous sommes des collègues au caucus et à la Chambre des communes, j'ai vu la discipline, l'énergie, l'éthique de travail et la rigueur si impressionnant de celui.
Again, apologies for the French-speaking people in here because I'm turning it down to talk over the French a little bit.
The Prime Minister's character and values are what make him the remarkable leader that he is. His love for his amazing wife, Sophie, and their 3 fantastic children is literally inspiring, as is his generosity and his kindness to his friends and to his colleagues. As some of you may know, I went through some difficult health challenges these last 3 years. One night, in the first couple of weeks of the last election, in the fall of 2019, I was in an isolation room at the Hôpital Maisonneuve-Rosemont in Montreal. I just received a stem cell transplant. When the nursing station got a call that the Prime Minister was on his way from the airport to the hospital. The Prime Minister arrived at the end of a long day of campaigning. He came to the hospital and spent over 2 hours with me.
They're kind of trying to pump Trudeau's character. This is not to be unexpected. It's the Liberal National Convention. Everyone is very, very pro-Liberal at this convention, so not too surprised by that. Oh, while you guys are in here, while we're waiting for Trudeau to start back in, make sure, like, I think there's around 560, 570 people in here. Make sure to like this stream so that it can get out to more people who are interested in learning about this and finding out what's going to be said during this speech. And if you have any friends that might be interested in this or might enjoy this channel, make sure to send them a link and let them know that this is going on. I'm trying to sort of be a Canadian channel here focused on Canadian content. I think there's not too much of that on YouTube, so I'd appreciate your support. But let's listen back in.
For Canadians. And how to build a more prosperous, inclusive, fair, and generous country. Our leader, unlike the Conservatives and the Bloc, believes the national government has a key role in playing to have Canadians' backs, particularly at a moment as difficult as the one we're in now. He says to us over and over again in caucus, in cabinet meetings, that we will do what we have to for as long as we have to protect Canadians, to protect their health, their safety.
That's one of those talking points that the Liberals have really been bringing up lately, saying we will support people for as long as we need to get out of this pandemic, leading us to think that benefits could be extended all the way till September when it comes to the CRB.
Le Premier ministre prendra la parole. And now,
I think here we
Liberal
go.
friends, it's with enormous pride that I present a short video after which the Prime Minister will speak to us.
Okay.
Merci beaucoup.
One of my favorite prime ministers, Wilfrid Laurier, often talked about patriotism and the unifying power.
I'm gonna turn this down a little bit because I'm sure we're not going to get any new information watching this right now. Just right, like this is supposed to be a convention, right, where everyone's all packed into like a stadium or something like that, where they're playing this on the screen and everyone's going nuts waiting for the Prime Minister to come out. So this is a little bit of a hype section. Cool, but we're going to talk over what we're going to expect to see here. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is the speech that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is about to give at the Liberal National Convention. We're expecting to hear him talk on all of the points that are inside of the title of this stream. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know where you're from. Usually we get representation from every single different province and territory in the chat when we do these, so let me know where you're from. Looking forward to getting to know everybody and to talking more with you about what's been going on. Whew, interesting stuff. seeing some people in the chat. We've got, a lot of people who aren't the biggest fans of Trudeau. Fair enough. There's certainly some issues with the way certain things have been handled. I always try, if you're new to the stream, you're new to the channel, I always try to stay pretty in the middle when it comes to things. I think that's my role here as someone who's bringing information to Canadians. I like to sort of bring you the information, let you decide how you want to deal with it, what you think of it. That's just my choice here on the channel, and sticking to my guns on that one. We've got... Terry says, CBC article also says they approve pharmacare. We're going to dig into all of these votes and how they went down after the speech here. So Terry, if I don't remember to do that, comment again later when we get into there, and we'll do that.
Neighbors and hear their ideas and priorities. En tant que gouvernement, notre priorité absolue est d'assurer la sécurité de tous. Peu importe qui vous êtes, où vous vivez, vous pouvez compter sur nous. Je compte à mon tour sur vous pour veiller à ce que aujourd'hui comme demain,
this is still pre-recorded, I think.
Ce qu'il y a de mieux, parce que votre participation et votre soutien sont au cœur de notre succès. We've seen Canadians step up to be there for each other. We've watched this happen in
it's kind of funny, like regardless of if you hate him or if you like him, it's kind of funny that he's commentating his own intro video. It's like he's the hype guy at a WWE thing, and he's like, and in this corner, me.
Difficult times.
From March through October, the CERB alone supported 8.9 million Canadians. We have invested in healthcare, increased testing and tracing, and directly supported provinces and territories as they fight the virus. This has been a Team Canada effort.
Mais je veux être très clair avec les Canadiens. Notre objectif, c'est de faire en sorte que la PCU fonctionne.
Where is T-Pain?
Notre gouvernement va continuer d'être là pour vous. There is nothing
That's funny, Jordan.
To keep you safe and to protect your health.
Oh, here we go. Let's crank the volume. All right. And here he is. All right.
Bonjour tout le monde. Hello, Liberals. Dominic, first off, thank you for that introduction. My friend, I can't tell you how happy I am to have you on this team, especially with everything you've been through in the past few years. Even through those health challenges, we knew we could count on you. Your humor, your dedication, your political insights have been extraordinary, and it is so important to have you back at this table, especially in the thick of this crisis. Thank you for all that you do for Canadians, Dom, and for this Liberal movement. And to each of you who is tuning in this weekend, it's so good to have you join us at our 2021 convention. I know that well over half of you are first-time delegates. To everyone who is new, welcome. Thanks for stepping up. And everyone else, it's great to be gathered with you all once again, even virtually. Que ce soit votre premier congrès ou non, les choses sont bien différentes cette année. Quand on était tous ensemble à Halifax en 2018, personne n'aurait pensé que notre prochain congrès serait un congrès virtuel.
I was really hoping we'd get one of those translation overdubs. It seems like that's not happening now. Hopefully he repeats the things that he's saying, but I'll try to listen in.
On va se le dire, l'année a été difficile. On connaît tous des familles qui ont perdu un être cher à cause du virus. On connaît tous quelqu'un qui n'a pas pu faire ses adieux à un grand-parent, un parent ou un ami. Within our own Liberal family, just this fall, we lost a true grit and former Prime Minister, the Right Honourable John Napier Turner. John was not just a good friend, a gifted athlete, and an exceptional politician. He was a remarkable leader who brought people together with his vision for a Canada brimming with hope for the future. And this year, maybe more than ever, I think we've all realized just how powerful that idea can be. Because forced isolation taught us new ways to connect with our friends and neighbors and be there for each other. A global crisis showed that local individual actions really matter. And a faceless virus allowed us to better see the faces that have been there for us all. The brave nurses I spoke to last month at Victoria General in Winnipeg, the vaccine clinic staff I met in Montreal, and the frontline caregivers I Zoomed with at a retirement home in St. John. The communities celebrating holidays virtually, the PPE drives, the groceries left on porches for neighbors, and Liberals like you. In the last year, this team has truly stepped up. I think of Dr. Doug Ailfson, past and future Liberal MP, who is in the meantime caring for ICU patients during this pandemic. Or current MP Kamal Khera, who went back to help as a nurse at long-term care home during the first wave and is now administering vaccines. However you've helped, and I know a lot of you have connected with Canadians on phone calls and during weekends of action, you remind us that when we talk about hope and hard work, when we talk about sunny ways, we're talking about you. Ensemble, on a accompli beaucoup de choses depuis 5 ans, et juste dans la dernière année, on en a fait énormément. Mais le travail est loin d'être terminé. Pendant qu'on lutte pour en finir avec la pandémie, et on est dans les derniers mois, on l'espère, il faut se préparer pour ce qui vient après. Et nous, au Parti libéral, on sait qu'un gouvernement doit travailler pour tout le monde, pour tous les parents, tous les travailleurs, toutes les petites entreprises, tous les jeunes et toutes les personnes âgées. Recently, I spoke to Najma and Karim. They're parents and small business owners from Toronto who'd written to me about what it's like not just to raise a family during a pandemic, but to run a restaurant, too. As Najma shared, it's really tough.
That's really what I heavily feel for in all this is like the business owners. You know what I mean? Like that's taken such a huge hit. Hopefully, anyone who's a business owner in the chat is doing okay right now. That's been tough.
They couldn't have planned for a global pandemic, and they shouldn't have to face one alone. When times got tougher than they could ever have expected, when the regular lunch crowd they rely on started working from home, they needed a government that would have their back, that listened to the real challenges they face, and then put in place real support. Because at the end of the day, that's what politics should be about. Real solutions to real problems. I know that's why I got into politics a dozen years ago, and I know that's why you've joined in, too. So what does having people's backs look like? What does that mean for Najma and Karim? Well, it means that instead of worrying about the rent on the restaurant, they could count on the rent subsidy to bridge them through this crisis. It means that instead of laying people off because they couldn't make payroll, they were able to keep their employees on the job with the wage subsidy. And it means that instead of losing sleep over the cost of raising a family, they were able to use the Canada Child Benefit to buy school supplies like the tablet their kids need for classes from home.
There were boosts to the CCB throughout all the pandemic. That was in part of Bill C-14. In the fall economic update, Chrystia Freeland brought that forward. And it was actually stalled for like 3 or 4 months, but it finally made it through to the third reading. Okay.
Et Najma. Et on va continuer d'être là pour tous les Canadiens.
We're going to continue working for
my friends,
all of Canada?
Here's the thing.
Hey, how's my French?
There are over 400,000 kids who were lifted out of poverty these past years with programs like the Canada Child Benefit. Well, when some of them are at risk of going hungry again because of this pandemic, that means there's still work to do. Across the country, there are seniors who have the secure retirement they deserve because we increased the guaranteed income supplement.
That's controversial. We can get into that later.
Didn't get the care they needed in their seniors' home this spring.
Liberals voted down a motion from the bloc that would see increases to some supports for seniors.
And people living with disabilities who make this country stronger, to the LGBTQ2 communities and the racialized communities and the faith communities that make Canada richer. When anyone, anywhere, faces racism, discrimination, or hatred, when anyone, anywhere, feels the weight not just of this pandemic, but of inequity and injustice, there's still work to do. Mes amis, quand il y a des obstacles devant nous, que ce soit en lien avec la pandémie, l'ALENA ou tous les autres défis qu'on relève ensemble, notre équipe libérale est toujours claire par rapport aux valeurs qu'on défend. On est là pour les Canadiens. On est là pour
Again, I'm going to keep turning it down a little bit here when there's French because my French is pretty rough. So I can talk over it, do a little bit of analysis. He brought up that he supported. I just want to make sure it's not back to English. He said that there's a lot of support for seniors, but okay.
Because what this team knows is that finding real solutions means addressing the real challenges people face. And that's something that Erin O'Toole's Conservative Party just can't quite grasp. How disconnected do you have to be to admit that you would have cut CERB, a lifeline for millions of people, during the worst economic crisis in a century?
When did he say that? He may have.
How disconnected do you have to be to call young people lazy when their summer jobs disappeared because of a global pandemic? How disconnected do you have to be to flirt with disinformation on public health and vaccines while a deadly virus takes loved ones, friends, and neighbors?
I think that's a reference to the person who got kicked out from the Conservative
to refuse to admit climate change is real, even as people's basements flood and wildfires tear through communities? The problem for Erin O'Toole is that he's not interested in real solutions to real problems. In fact, he's already shown that he's willing to say different things to different people at different times if he thinks it'll help him get ahead.
We're hearing what they're going to campaign
safer,
on.
But to get the support of the gun lobby, he promised to make assault weapons legal again.
These will probably be
he defends a women's right
points
to
against
choose,
him in
but
the
to win the Conservative Party leadership, he told his MPs they could introduce anti-choice laws. When I first ran for Liberal leader, I said that the debate over a woman's right to choose was finished. So we made sure you could only be a Liberal candidate if you agreed to protect that right. In 2015, we laid out our plan for a stronger middle class. Well, the first thing we did after that election was to cut taxes for the middle class by raising them on the wealthiest 1%.
This sounds like it's already a campaign going on, even though there's been no election called.
We promised even stronger gun control. And last year, we banned assault weapons. And at the start of this crisis, we told Canadians we would have your back. So we rolled out CERB, we created the wage subsidy, we invested in schools, in healthcare, and in vaccines. In fact, on vaccines, while Erin O'Toole's Conservatives gleefully told Canadians it might be years until they got their shot, the reality is very different. Minister Anand and the Liberal team surpassed our promise of 6 million vaccines by the end of March, and by the end of last week, we got to 9.5 million doses. There are millions more vaccines on the way, and we're on track to meet our commitment that every Canadian who wants to will be fully vaccinated by the end of the summer. Dans notre équipe libérale, on n'attend pas pour passer de la parole à l'action.
That's sort of been the vaccine promise from the Liberals throughout all of this. No matter where you stand on all of that, they've been saying by September, start of September, anyone who wants it could get it. They've actually gotten more recently, but they haven't moved up that timeline.
Qui proviennent de notre gouvernement. En d'autres mots, 80% de l'argent qui sert à aider les gens à traverser la crise est fourni par le gouvernement fédéral. L'année dernière, plus de 8 millions de personnes
ont eu recours à de l'aide financière fédérale pour payer leur loyer et mettre de la nourriture sur la table. Et on a déployé les forces armées et la Croix-Rouge canadienne dans les CHSLD pour aider nos personnes âgées les plus vulnérables. Tout ça, ça a le mérite de mettre les choses très au clair. Pendant que le Bloc fait semblant d'être le seul parti qui peut parler au nom des Québécois, nous, on livre la marchandise pour les Québécois avec de l'aide directe pour les aînés, les entreprises, les familles et les travailleurs. Quand vient le temps de livrer pour les Québécois, ça prend des Québécois au gouvernement. Nous, les libéraux, on prend des mesures historiques pour promouvoir et protéger le français, pas seulement au Québec, mais partout à travers le Canada.
Et on est le seul parti
qui a un vrai plan pour s'attaquer au changement climatique et pour léguer un avenir plus propre et plus prospère à nos enfants. Dans notre plan, on interdit les plastiques à usage unique. On protège 25 des océans et des terres du Canada pendant qu'on plante 2 milliards d'arbres et on atteint la cible de zéro émission nette d'ici 2050. On préfère choisir l'action au lieu de la division. On est toujours là pour les Québécois et pour tous les Canadiens et on va continuer d'avoir un message rassembleur au lieu de chercher la chicane. My friends, what it all comes down to is this. Which party has a real plan for the real problems in the real world? Some refuse to accept reality, all while offering falsehoods and division. Us? Well, this team is focused on solutions to the challenges we face, from health to jobs, from human rights to the environment. This team is focused on building back better for the middle class and people working hard to join it, while taking climate action to create good jobs and keep our economy growing.
Building back better. My prediction is that that's going to be the slogan of their election.
Our team is focused on a better future.
That's what they're saying all the time. Every single Liberal in the House of Commons.
Les militants libéraux comme vous, vous avez toujours été là pour ouvrir la voie.
I'm seeing it in the chat. I think you haven't heard a plan yet. We haven't really heard anything new. He's kind of just been saying, hey, look at what a good job we did with all these other things. Wondering if they're going to announce anything new here.
Même quand le Parti conservateur s'attaquait à ces mesures. D'ailleurs, avec le Parti conservateur, on voit bien que plus ça change, plus c'est pareil. Pendant leur congrès, ils ont refusé de reconnaître que les changements climatiques sont réels. Contrairement à ça, vous, depuis le début, vous avez toujours continué de pousser pour faire avancer les choses. Au cours de la dernière année, vous avez demandé à plus d'1 million de Canadiens leurs idées pour bâtir un avenir meilleur. Et aujourd'hui, au plus grand congrès politique du Parti libéral de tous les temps, on intègre ces idées à notre plan. My friends, you've always been the heart of our liberal movement. On the big things that are still ahead, just like on everything we've already done, I know I can count on you to remind us that better is always possible.
The big things
because
ahead.
I know
Maybe
that you'll be there with your energy, your positivity, and above all, your conviction that together we can create an even better country to call home. The conversations we've had this weekend, the policy debates ongoing, the ideas we've shared, this is not just about policy. This is about people. It's about parents like Najma and Kareem. In Kareem's words, he came to Canada to build a good life for his kids and to give back to this country. That was what he dreamed of. And that's what so many parents dream of.
I see Dan's comment there in the chat. His plan is to have the budget taken down in the House of Commons.
In a clean, thriving economy.
I could see that being a possibility.
And it's about neighbors and friends who will each have a real and fair chance at success. Les prochains temps seront pas toujours faciles.
Because like we said, the NDP have said that they're going to support the Liberals and they don't want to look for an election. So it would actually have to be the Liberals to call the election if the NDP stick up for that and continue to support the Liberals, right? You need to have a vote go against the Liberals to have an election called, but at any time Trudeau himself can go to the Speaker of the House or the Governor, the Governor General, the interim Governor General,
we get to
and call an
choose
election.
A brighter future. Together, we get to grab hold of a once-in-a-generation moment to build the kind of tomorrow we all want to see. So reach out your hand to a neighbor who had a blue or orange or green lawn sign last time around. Phone up a friend who has a different perspective and maybe didn't vote for us in the past. Perhaps they're feeling disenchanted. Perhaps they're feeling left behind because they know climate change is real. Tell them about the plan that together this Liberal team is building with hope and hard work. And then, and this is important, listen to the things that they need us to do even better. In this past year, we've all been each other's neighbors. If anyone ever doubted it, COVID-19 has shown us that we're always stronger together. When we're there for each other, when we lean on each other, when we listen to each other. So the partisanship that's far too often the norm in Ottawa, we know that's not who Canadians are. We are people who get that we're in this together. People who understand that even when we're doing okay, if our neighbor is struggling, we're all worse off. Who understand that when all of our kids have a chance at success, when all of our entrepreneurs have an opportunity to thrive, when all of our communities have clean air and clean water, the future is brighter for all of us. The future is brighter for each of us. Ensemble, on traverse une crise sans précédent. Et ensemble, on se prépare à bâtir un avenir qui va être meilleur que tout ce qu'on a connu avant.
I'm thinking likely he's not going to mention the votes that came today because he probably planned this speech a while ago.
Merci, mes chers amis. Thank you so much, dear friends.
We're going to go into what was actually voted on today. Is that it? Someone could do clapping on the Zoom call. That's so weird. Like, to see the clapping, but like don't hear anything. I guess that's where we are right now. Okay, well, I think that, like, at least from my perspective, like, let me switch back to full cam here. At least from my perspective, that seems like kind of less than I was expecting when it comes to a policy convention, to not come out and say things about the direction of where the party is going.
Hello again, I'm Peter Van Dusen, as we have met.
Okay, so that's more coverage of it. We don't need that. But to not come out and actually bring some sort of pitch for what they want to bring, like, that was a lot. Like, let's go over some of the notes here. Actually, I took a couple notes here, the main things that he talked about. So he started off the whole speech with essentially talking up all the programs that have been brought forward. Now, again, I want to emphasize here, I try to stay right in the middle as much as I can to just bring the information so people can see it and think about what's been brought forward here and make up their own minds about all of this. And it's never my goal to push any beliefs. So I'm just trying to bring what just happened. So he comes in and he talks up all the programs, says, hey, CERB was awesome. The Canadian Emergency Rent Subsidy was awesome. It kept businesses afloat, kept Canadians afloat, kept food on the table. They said in French. I don't know if you caught it, but I translated that to English. So kudos to me. I'm just joking, obviously. My French is awful. So he went forward, and one thing I noted was it was a real campaign vibe. He was really pushing against the Conservatives specifically, not too much against the NDPs. I guess he sees the Conservatives as the main risk when the election comes around. And he says, hey, who is the party that actually has a plan? You've seen what we've done. You've seen the things we've done throughout the pandemic. Do you want to vote for the party that has a plan and is actually doing things, or the party that doesn't have a plan and doesn't accept reality? This was a quote, Conservatives don't accept reality. That's largely in reference to, you know how this was the policy convention for the Liberals, Well, the Conservatives held one, I think, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe even a month ago now. It was a little while ago, but there was a whole bunch of votes like this, and there was an Aaron O'Toole speech where he did lay out a plan, a 5-step plan for how he would respond to the economy. There's a video on my channel here. I think the thumbnail is my face, like doing the classic YouTuber thumbnail, like, or something like that, because you need to do that apparently to be on YouTube. But it also has Aaron O'Toole on it with like a big plans arrow pointing at him. That's where you can go over what he said in his speech here, and you can kind of compare and contrast if you'd like to. But Trudeau's saying, hey, they didn't even vote yes that climate change is real at their convention. Now, there's a little bit of funny business there because it is actually included in their policy in other sections, and there were problems with the resolution that they were trying to pass when they voted on this. So it wasn't the fact that it was just simply one phrase that they were voting against, and nobody believes in climate change in that party. I don't believe that that's the case. So there's a little bit of funny business there, and it's really easy to write headlines saying that the Conservatives don't support that all around. But that seems like that's going to be a real point that the Liberals really hammer on to hurt the Conservative Party, right? Saying, hey, these guys don't even believe in climate change, so how could you ever even consider voting for them? That's the Liberals' point of view, right? Yeah, I'm gonna take a second here. I'll boost up the chat a little bit, see what you guys are saying. Yeah, it's like a golf clap at the end there. Nothing but bad choices in Canada. If in some UBI for all for UBI. Get ready for more homelessness and crime. Maybe where's my money? UBI's extra expensive welfare that doesn't encourage people to work. It's estimated to cost over $51 billion. Certainly there are questions on how things are going to be paid for. Different idea is there as well too. Talk about UBI. Okay, let's do that. Let's dive in here. So okay, I'll finish up my notes here on what happened in this campaign. So again, they were saying all those campaign style promises. And then we talked about that quote that he said multiple times and has been saying for a while, build back better. We're here to build back better. We want to make a better Canada. That was even some of the titles of some of the speeches here throughout this convention was building a better Canada, building a more resilient Canada, building back better. My prediction is, and quote me on this, I think that when they eventually campaign, if this does well enough for them in their talking points right now, I could see that being the slogan of the campaign. He mentioned, he was like, Liberals who are watching this, thank you for being here through all the things we've done. There are big things ahead. That was the most insight that he gave us on what's to come. He literally just said, there are going to be big things ahead. What does that mean? We don't know. This speech really seemed like more of a pat on the back, whether warranted or not, depending on where you stand on it. But he was certainly bringing up a lot of the things that they have done and a little bit of an attack on the Conservatives. And then he also at the end there was saying, hey, we're wanting to make a push for more people to be voting for the Liberals come election time. He said, hey, Liberals who are watching this, go out and have conversations with your friends who didn't vote for us, essentially trying to say, hey, get your friends to vote for us next time. We can do better than we did last time. So those were the main things he talked about in that speech. A little underwhelming, if I'm being honest, about the lack of information or new things. Generally, when you hear from a leader, you expect something a little bit more substantial than that, right? But let's pull this up. I'm going to take a look here at that UBI vote that was actually held today at the convention and whether or not it was going to be added to the policy. Now, we have heard that it was included in their policy that it actually passed, but I want to pull that up. We're going to go to the Liberal Policy Convention. Let's check out the news here. Okay, here we go. Here is the article we want to see. Flip this over. I'm going to turn off chat just for a second as we go into this so you can see everything nice and up close here. Okay, and we've got the headline, Liberal delegates. Okay, that is a very, very big pen. All right, yeah, that's a little bit better. Liberal delegates endorse a universal basic income, reject capital gains hike. Okay, so this is news on housing too, another thing that was in the description of this video. All right, interesting. All right, so they say delegates to virtual policy convention also back national pharmacare and a Green New Deal. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive on this later. And I'll probably make a video on it too. But let's just like scroll through this and get a rough idea. Delegates to the party's political convention, we know this. By a vote of 77%, Liberal members on hand for the policy vote today backed a call to permanently implement an income program similar to the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, which kept millions of people afloat with monthly checks during the first wave of the pandemic. So It sounds like this is becoming Liberal policy. Now, whether or not they're going to campaign on this and it doesn't actually hold their hands to actually implementing anything in the short term, right? This is just being added to their policy. But if you're someone who supports UBI, you'd see this as a step forward for that. With 8.7% of Canadians living below the poverty line and thousands more struggling to make ends meet, backers of this policy said that it would ensure that communities at risk, including Indigenous people, are able to feel financially secure. Okay, yeah. Given the success of CERB, that could also be debated by multiple different people. UBI will assist seniors and low-income Canadians. Okay, speaking to delegates, Alex Spears said that UBI would ensure the country's strong and robust social safety net is adapted to the 21st century. Now, we had to make some changes to the EI program. We covered that here on the channel in order to allow more people to be eligible for it and for like an extension of benefits up to the 50-week point. But inside of those debates that they were holding in the House of Commons, they talked about potentially revamping the entire EI program. Carla Qualtrough even mentioned this could be something that they do in the future. So doing that under the umbrella of the UBI could be something that's likely, and it sort of speaks to Carla Qualtrough, who is the Minister for Employment, I believe is the official title. It seems like she may be in support of some sort of overarching policy that could cover EI as well as other things, and that could be UBI in her eyes. He said the program would put more cash in the hands. Yep. It's not a silver bullet. Okay. All right. Would a UBI work? Okay. So this is the information, right? So they voted yes. I want to know. So in the article that we read before this live stream, they said that it was the fast track bill that they actually were able to vote positively on. So I'm going to open this up and go, if I can type properly, Liberal Convention Policy. All right, and this is so here I can find the actual wording of the UBI bill that I believe was passed. So it's inside here, and it was a fast track resolution. And look at this. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's right here at the top. So this is the document that they were essentially voting on. This is what they voted yes on today. If it's correct that it was the fast track version, because there were two sort of UBI things included in here. And it says, whereas COVID-19 exposed serious gaps in... So as I said in the video recently, oh my goodness, why is it going so big? As I said in a video recently, these are all just like the reasons that they're saying, hey, UBI is a good idea. But that's just like the evidence that they're pointing at. But right here is the be it resolved section, which is where this is what is actually now, if I'm correct that it's this UBI resolution that was passed, this is the one that's actually being forced into Liberal policy now. The Liberal Party of Canada urges the Government of Canada to conduct a basic income cost-benefit analysis, including reviews of basic income projects and studies by subject matter experts, explore streamlining current federal income supports while maintaining those for distinct needs, adjusting for regional differences, and work with provinces and territories, First Nation, Métis, Inuit, to develop and implement a basic income guarantee. Okay, so there were two different UBI bills that were brought forward during this policy convention. It sounds like this is the one that was voted through at like, I think 77 to 80. What was it? What was it? The percentage? Someone in chat will correct me on this, but a large majority of everyone voted this through to become Liberal policy. Now, this is the least progressive language when it comes to the UBI bill or the UBI resolutions that were included, because all they're saying here is conduct a cost-benefit analysis, including reviews of basic income projects and study. So like do more studies, get more evidence, do more research. Now, for a lot of people who have been sort of on this UBI train for a while, really wanting it to go forward, they likely wouldn't be happy to see this. If you're somebody who hates the idea of UBI, this could be a positive for you, I think. Unless it is the other one, we'll go over that too. But this one is just going to slow things down and delay things in my eyes. If you're just tuning in, we finished the interview with Justin Trudeau. A little underwhelming. You can scroll back a little bit to get some of the main points in there. But we're just going over some of the votes that were actually held today at the Liberal National Policy Convention to see which policies were going to be adopted by the Liberals and, as a result, make it more likely for them to be implemented long term as well. So yeah, like I said, let me go back to full cam here. Like I said, this is the least progressive language for UBI because it's like do more studies, get more evidence, do more research. If you hate UBI, this could be a good thing for you because it could mean, hey, we're just going to take more time, do more pilot projects, nothing's going to be implemented. Now, if I go back here, I should be able to look at the other one here. The other one was the one that was a little bit more strongly worded when it comes to UBI, and it was actually calling for, here it is. It was actually calling for the government to straight up implement a UBI like right now. Not right now, but like put it into their policy, not just research it. Here's the be it resolved section for that one. Be it resolved that through a process of intersectional consultation with stakeholders and political parties, the government of Canada introduces a UBI for all Canadians. Given the success of CERB, the UBI will assist seniors and low-income Canadians maintain an adequate standard of living, regardless of working status. Now, it was my understanding that this wasn't the one that was voted through. Obviously, this is the far more progressive language inside of one of these resolutions, because it's saying, hey, actually implement it, no more studies. It's wild. I wonder if because I'm not seeing in these articles which resolution number it was, because that's the information we need to know in order to figure out which one was voted through. You can see this one's number 3374 here, but it doesn't say here which resolution it was, which is a little frustrating. I'm just scrolling here to see if we can find out which one it was. Did anyone in the chat? No? Anyone in chat help me out here? Which one actually passed through? Because there were two different resolutions. Okay, interesting. So yeah, what do you guys think of this? I'm going to pull it up to chat here. What do you think? Like, first off, what do you think of Trudeau's speech? Was that something that thrilled you and excited you, or are you a little bit underwhelmed by what was included in there? Also, thoughts on the UBI vote? Are you in support of it or no? We're gonna chat in the chat here for a little bit. Okay. Someone's saying I'm blind. Okay. House of Commons Bill C-273, Liberal Fast Track Resolution. House of Commons Bill C-273. That was the one that was just calling for more. That was by Julie Zarowicz, I think, Ahmed. Yeah, Sandra's not a fan. Only his bank account is up. Cadillac Escalade. Fast Track was passed. So the Fast Track was passed. So if that's true what you're saying in there, Ricky, then it was the less progressive one. Because take a look at this, right? These are the fast track resolutions. Oh, okay. Let me pull up the screen. I realized that you couldn't see what I was clicking. Fast track resolutions. This is the list of the resolutions that were voted on. They said it was the fast track one, right, Ricky? I think it was Ricky Ashkan said in the chat. So the fast track one was the less aggressively worded one, right? Remember? Right here, right at the top. These are the ones that are just like do an income cost benefit analysis. So not as hugely exciting if you're somebody who's into the ideas of UBI. Okay, so that's good to know. So I wonder if the other one was passed or if it was voted down. That's interesting. Yeah, Roadrunner, you're saying he was giving a vote speech to me. That's what it sounded like, right? It really sounded like the tone was so campaign, even though nothing's happened here, right? And even like he has said that they're not looking for an election right now. Of course, you can say anything, right? Whether it's true or not is a different story, because even within this policy convention, let me show you this. There's a whole section here about election readiness that they were talking about. I'll pull this up again. Program. Yeah, right here. This is the whole schedule, right? For the whole policy weekend where they were trying to craft these new policies, vote on them, all this good stuff. But in here, where is it? I think it was today that they had it. Election readiness up. Yeah, so they did a whole election readiness update where I guess they were talking about their strategy for upcoming elections. And also there was a whole section on digital, be like how to do an election in a digital era, which of course, if there's an election right now, is going to be pretty much all digital with the pace that we're getting out of this pandemic situation, the pace that we're recovering from it. Where was that? Okay, well, you can take my word on it that there was included in this policy. Maybe you even saw it and I just didn't see it while I was scrolling there. But they were emphasizing, hey, we need to know how to hold an election in a digital era. Yeah, Don's a fan. Okay, under the Liberals, UBI will never happen. They're PC light. Yeah, and some people think that the Liberals aren't left-leaning enough. Now, the NDP, of course, are going to be... They're actually rooting... And their policy convention is going on right now as well, to be honest. Well, to be honest, of course, yeah, that's a kind of weird way to put it, Russell. But their policy convention is going on right now too, and they would actually be happy to hear if the Liberal Party doesn't lean as left as some people are expecting, because of course the farther the Liberal Party goes left, the less room the NDP have to occupy before Liberals start taking NDP voters, right? So they kind of want the Liberals to be conservative if they're talking about, like, not if they're talking about the policies they're trying to push, but if you're talking about the way votes will work out, then certainly that's the way. All right. So I take the bus camp photo card. UBI, Russell, please double check and see if it's the fast-tracked UBI. I'm pleased about this, but let's just hope they pull off something. Yeah, I don't know where to get this data as of right now. I'm probably going to find it like after we finish the stream, and I'll probably make a video on it, just because not everyone here who is in the stream is going to watch the video, and vice versa. Not everyone who watches all the videos are going to be here for the stream. But that's interesting. I want to get all those vote results because there were just so many resolutions that were voted on today. Getting all these UBI free money will still go into paying rents or mortgage. I mean, yeah, it'll certainly help people pay for those payments. And there's lots of arguments to say, hey, if people are getting, like, where's the line drawn? If UBI comes in, will it just be adjusted for inflation? Like the 2% that the Bank of Canada says it's going to be. Inflation, their target is 2%. That's their whole mandate. But when in reality, there's actually a lot more inflation, at least in my eyes, than the Bank of Canada is monitoring, because they look at something called the CPI, which is like a basket of goods that determines whether or not inflation is going up or down. But it doesn't include things like assets, right? And it doesn't include things like real estate prices, right? So the fact that these things aren't included in their evaluation of inflation is a little bit interesting. But like, are they just going to increase universal basic income amount? Like, if it were to be brought in, are they just going to increase that incrementally to keep up with inflation? But if rents go up faster than inflation, then how does that work out, right? So there's still questions, and I always say here on the channel, the devil's in the details. Are these programs going to be good or bad? People ask me in the chat, Russell, what's your view on things, right? And I'll reveal it to you right now. My view is that I don't feel like I'm smart enough to know. Do you know what I mean? Like, how is anyone smart enough to foresee all of the potential ways that things could go and how they're implemented when we don't even have announcements on these things on how they're going to work? You know what I mean? I reserve judgment on all of these things until I see the inner workings, because you could take the best idea on the planet, the one that everyone thinks is going to work, but if it's implemented by a government that can't execute the vision, can't execute the policies, then that's a different story, right? Your good idea can turn into a rather bad one pretty fast. So that's the way I see it. And people say like, hey, Russell, you're a fence sitter, but I just don't think that I have enough information to be so strong in my convictions about something. Do you know what I mean? I wonder if anyone here can relate with that feeling. Oh man. Okay. Are you answering my question? I must have missed it, Nassim. Yeah, sorry if I don't get to everything in the chat here, guys, but thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already done so and you're here hanging out and you're not a subscriber to the channel, we do things like this all the time. We make videos all Canadian centered on news, personal finance, investing, a little bit of real estate, a little bit of macroeconomics, big word for something that's kind of interesting when you actually break it down and look at what it means for every Canadian. It's something I didn't realize that I would be so interested in, but I've ended up making a bunch of videos on those topics about the Bank of Canada, inflation, all of these topics. So if you're interested in any of that sort of stuff or just want to stay tuned with me, then hit that subscribe button, hang out with me again. All right. Yeah, thanks, Sandra, for tuning in. Thanks for the kind words, everyone. UBI, just go back into the economy. Yeah, that's one of the pros that people are saying. Like, if you give out money with UBI, people are going to spend it, especially, but that's the tricky thing, right? Oh, thanks for the super chat, Highbrow Gaming. Great content. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Every little bit helps out with keeping the YouTube channel going. So I appreciate the super chat there, Highbrow Gaming. But of course, nobody feel obligated to do anything like that, but I appreciate you. Thank you, Highbrow Gaming. Well, I was talking about money from UBI going into the economy. Yes, this is why some people are more interested in like a negative income tax rate or something that's a guaranteed livable income, that it wouldn't be universal going out to every single person, because even in the pandemic we've seen here, people were able to, who weren't in awful financial positions, receive the CERB in certain situations. And largely that won't be spent on the economy if they were in an okay position. I think people who were eligible to apply got this money, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have, right? Because if you're eligible, why not go for the program? But people who were in okay financial positions leading up to the pandemic were able to take that money and maybe not spend it all immediately on essential goods, maybe start investing it. You know what I mean? Like, if you have this ability to get this money and you don't need to use it, then of course you're going to want to do things like invest in either stocks or real estate, right? These are things that Canadians can use to build their wealth. Now, no matter where you sit on the side of real estate investing and stock investing, I think it's something that everyone should learn about and should learn more how to do. Oh, thank you, Edwina. Faith Elliott. Oh, thank you so much for tuning in. That's so nice of you. I appreciate you. But I think that that's something everyone should learn about, whether you think it's ethical to invest in real estate or to invest in stocks, whether you think that it's there should be more limits put on it. Like, I know that there's a lot of push for that, but the way I see it, you got to learn to play the rules by the game that you're already playing. Do you know what I mean? Like, no matter, like, why be a martyr for a system that is currently the system? I hope you get what I'm saying here. Why not learn about it so that you can sort of help yourself and help your own family move forward in the current system that we have? That's the way that I see it. Some people may not like that point of view, but that's how I run my life. CRB lasts till when, Jay? If they don't extend the periods longer, then it will end at the end of June for people who have applied for every period since the beginning of September. Now, of course, the program is September 2020 to September 2021. If you were only applying interspersed like throughout that time period, you could apply any time in there. But there's right now, I think, only 19 2-week periods that you can apply for. So you can't actually do it every single 2-week period if you started from the beginning, unless they make another extension through regulation like they did already. Man, I talk a lot when I do these live streams. I'm going to have some water, you guys. Again, like we've talked about previously on the stream, let me know where you're from as I take this sip of water. I love to see where everyone's from. We get a lot of people from in here from Ontario. That's where I currently live. I'm about a half hour, 40 minutes east of Toronto. But let me know where you're from. It's so interesting. We got Edmonton, Cup of Coffee's in here. You've been here since the beginning of the stream, Cup of Coffee. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Crypto Mills, thank you for the super chat. You guys are so sweet. Everyone who's sent a super chat or has joined the channel, I appreciate your support. I sort of view it as people saying, hey, you're doing a good job. Keep up doing what you're doing. So I appreciate you. But of course, no obligation or pressure for anyone to do anything like that. In Toronto, lockdown again. Yeah, we covered Doug Ford's announcement a little earlier this week. A little rough in Toronto right now. Well, me too, in Ontario, anywhere. Halifax, we got Gary from Gary or Jerry, sorry if I butcher your name, from Halifax. We got Mickey from Saskatchewan. We got Jordan from Thorold, Jones from BC, downtown Toronto from Susie. That's so cool. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. That's it's so nice of you to all hang out here. Let me know if you have any questions or anything else you want to cover in this live stream. We'll keep it going for a little while longer. Actually, I wanted to check in a little bit on the NDP convention. I wonder if there's any other new articles on this. No, everything's from yesterday. They were really pushing for an increased sick pay, like a national sick pay. Trudeau is sort of pushing on the provinces to make these because they're saying we already have the CRCB for the the CRSB, the Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit. Lots of controversy around that in Ontario, with Doug Ford being pretty upset that people are calling on him to implement a sick day program, even though there's already a federal one, but there's problems with the federal one. It's just a big mess. But that's one thing they're really pushing for. I believe the NDP also have adopted UBI into their policy as well. There's certainly been a lot more talk of UBI in the House of Commons from NDP members of Parliament. Interesting stuff. Yeah, Audrey's in Ottawa staying at home. Yeah. Jordan says, you're the second best. Thank you. I will take the second best if you're talking about me. Sault Ste. Marie. Very cool, Peggy. Very cool. Cool little city. Used to live there. Oh, okay. BC Kootenay. Wild childcare. What about month-to-month costs? Yeah. Well, this is what we were talking about, right? Krista Freeland in her chat with a former member of Parliament that she had on there, it was talking about all of these economic ideas for Canada. That's what it was titled, right? Building a more resilient economy for Canada. I think it was something like that. But they spent the whole half hour just talking about childcare the whole time. So that makes me believe that the largest thing that's going to be announced on April 19th. Remember, if you haven't already, mark your calendar. April 19th is when we're going to get the details of what's going to be implemented, what programs are coming down the pipeline from the Liberals. That's when they announced the first budget in 2 years. So we're going to be doing a live stream just like this. When that federal budget is announced, we're going to be breaking it all down for you. But it seems like it's going to be largely her plan, and I guess also Trudeau's and the Liberals as a whole, their plan on how they're going to bring forward a national childcare, what that's going to look like, right? It's so interesting. But it has people concerned that other things that are more pressing in their eyes aren't going to be included in the budget because this is their headline breaking thing. This is what my video is all about today. Oh, Crypto, thank you. Love your content, and both passed 77 fast. And oh, Crypto, where did you get that info? Crypto said, you guys see that there. Crypto says, love your content, and both passed, by the way, 77% for the fast track. 80. Oh, interesting. 88% for the non-fast track. The non-fast track was the more aggressive of the two, the more left-leaning, the more progressive. That's interesting. Okay, I thought that there might not be as much support as we thought in the Liberal Party for UBI. That's what I genuinely thought. Because, one, the Prime Minister hasn't come out saying he's in support of it. Neither has Chrystia Freeland, right? The finance minister, someone who would be likely to implement this in a budget. They haven't mentioned anything. Garrison, do you have a screenshot of the results? Let me check Discord. Maybe someone sent me in Discord this info. I'm going to go to my Discord channel here. Remember, there's a link in the description if you ever want to send me any pictures or anything like this, anything in the Discord. That's the best way to put it so I can pull it up on screen. Yeah, I don't have the screenshot yet there, Garrison, but that's interesting. The one that was more aggressive, more progressive, was voted at a higher percent, 88%, if you're right there. Thanks for that, Crypto Mills. That's okay. So they voted through both the one that says we want more research and the one that says implement it now. Interesting. I wonder which way they're going to go with it, if both of them are policies, right? And which ones are going to be implemented into the election plan, right? What are they going to campaign on? What is going to be their policy going into that campaign? It's interesting to watch. All right, we've got Alberta's back to closures of most basic jobs. Oh, really? Oh no. I'm sorry to hear that. Raise my taxes and fund me. I mean UBI. Yeah, it's interesting. This is the thing about UBI. It's like the big thing is, how are we going to pay for it, right? This is what everyone talks about. People say if we hone down everything into only one system, like get rid of welfare, get rid of EI, and put it all on basic income, we'll save money on administrative costs. That's one thing that people say. Other people say, hey, I'm happy for you to raise my taxes if we can implement this program. Lots of people lean on that tax thing. But the thing that has me so interested, and this is why I find macroeconomics so interesting, is the fact that we're talking about the tax situation here when it comes to funding huge programs. It's a little bit like losing the forest for the trees, because if you look at the way that Canada's been spending money for the past 10 years, it's most of the time it's been at a huge deficit, right? They've been spending more than they're making from taxes, and by quite a lot. So it's less and less true that these government programs are funded by tax dollars directly. Instead, if you see my video on how Canada's printing around $4 billion now, $5 billion at the beginning of the pandemic, but $4 billion every single week is being added to the Canadian monetary system. Now it's too complex for me to go into here to just live stream it, but I have a whole video that breaks that down called the Canadian Money Printer. Just like search after the stream's done, the YouTube Russell Canadian Money Printer. You can watch that video, but that's what's really funding this, right? Because the government of Canada is able to issue government of Canada bonds, and big banks buy those bonds, and as a result, the Canadian government essentially gets a loan from the big banks, and those big banks then say, hey, I'm going to take this bond and I'm going to sell it to the Bank of Canada, who is essentially paying for these bonds from the big banks in a special kind of money that only they can use. It's a little bit complex. If it sounds interesting to you, I'm not going to drone on and on about it here anymore. But if it sounds interesting to you, check out that video. It's one of my favorites that I've done because it's such an interesting thing. Jay says, okay, Russell, to run for next Minister of Finance, Russell Printer Mac. Oh man, I don't think you could pay me enough to make me go into politics. Now, if I ever do in the future, you're probably going to like see this clip of me right here on this stream, saying, you said you'd never do this. So if you're in the chat, make sure you chat right now so you can see your name on the screen as I say this. But I don't think I ever want to run for a political party. One, I don't think that I think that I, as a person, am too down the middle. You know what I mean? Like there's so many pros and cons, and you got to take these party lines. On top of that, the amount of crap you have to put up with as a politician and sit like, okay, for you guys, like I'll sit through these House of Commons debates. I'll sit through the question periods that they're holding so that I can sort of parse through the information and give it to you. But so much of it, guys, so much is so incredibly boring. Do you know what I mean? And so much of it is like talking around the real point without actually getting to anything, right? I don't think I could do that. I'll tell you what I actually do when I'm watching these. I like put in a little script into my Google Chrome browser that allows me to speed up the video to 4x speed. So if it's like a 4-hour thing, I only have to watch it for 1 hour and I'll skim through it. But if you had me watch that at normal speed live in the room, I think I would I would want to die in that job. So this is my reason that I think that I wouldn't be cut out for politics, because I don't think I can deal with that kind of slow, boring debate, which is talking around the issue, not getting to the real meat of it. Oh man. Yeah, Jay says, just push it through the print or the bubble can't get bigger than the earth. North America won't pop. Yeah, run independent. Yeah, Bitcoin will crash. Insider info. Oh, okay. I'm someone, if you guys don't know, I hold some cryptocurrency. I think it's a good part of a person's investment portfolio, but I wouldn't allocate too much of your net worth into that. But I always am an advocate for people to learn more about personal finance and investing, and I'm actually making some content on that right now, that I'm putting together like a really comprehensive guide on all of this stuff, because it's something I'm really passionate about. But I think that this is one of my biggest concerns with Canada as a country, is the lack of financial education in the schools. Like, come on, for a thing that is the most important thing when it comes to someone's life after education, the fact that there's so little talk about money and investing and personal finance and how to build your wealth, that is so frustrating to me. Like, I say this at the risk of sounding like I care too much about money, but when you break it down, what's important in life to you? Well, what's important in life to me isn't money itself. It's the thing that money can give you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can give you the ability to spend more time with your friends, spend more time with your family, right? These are the things that are important to me. Spend more time focusing on your health. I mean, so like the fact that something that's so important to how we experience our life is not taught in school is so frustrating to me. But I could rant on that for days. The checks in. Why can't we get a house and use rent money towards a house? Yeah, I mean, this is the tricky thing. Yeah, there are already videos for Wealthsimple already on YouTube. Yeah, I have some on here as well, with me using Wealthsimple for investing. Don't have the temper for politics. Would be fired the first week. Yeah, me too, man. Me too. Got a tiny bit of crypto. 20 grew to 140. That growth scares me, and I don't trust crypto. Hey, fair enough. It's not for everyone. You really have to do a deep dive. I kind of see it. I think of it mentally as a stock. Like, you got to do your analysis on it before you pick it. Right? Make your own mind up about it. Take a look at the things that you think will contribute to where it goes in the future, and then make your bet on that. Yeah. Only invest after you've paid off any debt that you have. Look at invested money as funds that you can afford to lose. Yeah, I mean, that's a good conservative way to look at it. Yeah, absolutely. And it also has to do with like what type of debt you have, whether or not you should put your money towards paying off debt versus investing, right? If you have super low interest rate debt, in some instances it may make sense to invest before your debt's paid off. If you have that good debt that's a really low interest rate, but yeah, like credit card debt, anything like above 10%, 100%, anything even above 5 or 6%, I'd say 100% pay that off first, because it's like you're instantly getting an investment return because you're not going to have to pay the interest on that anymore. Good point. Very good point. Yeah, Roadrunner says, thanks, Russell, for all your videos. I look for you every day for updates. You're a good man. Thank you so much. That means so much to hear those kind words. I've had a lot of fun on this stream here. A little disappointed by the content of the speech, but you know, these things happen. It's interesting. We've been able to go over the UBI votes. Both passed. I remember in that super chat, Crypto was saying, yeah, they passed 77%, 88%. So it's more and more likely that they're going to be campaigning on something like that, you guys. Jay says, leverage trading and turning first $100 profit. Leverage trading is a little bit more of an advanced thing, and it's risky, right? I'd say it's not for the faint of heart to take on any leverage. I think it breaks down to 3 levers, right? When it comes to personal finance: spending less, earning more, investing more. If you can control those things, then you're gonna be set, and you won't necessarily need as much leverage or loans for your investing. Yeah. Ricky says, I didn't know about RRSPs and TFSAs till I was 32 years old. That's a travesty, and it's not your fault, right? And this is so many people in Canada. We have these tools for increasing our wealth and getting us out of the current money situation that we're in and improving that area of our life. But man, oh man, do they not teach us how to do it? It's just, yeah, you guys are going to get me ranting. Just going to keep ranting about those things that I'm frustrated about. Yeah. Dave Ramsey has some great content on debt payoff. He uses the snowball method as opposed to like the conventional interest rate method. The pros and cons to both, but he's a good guy to follow. Yeah, I've checked into John Sanderson's channel a little bit. I'm impressed by a lot of the content. I need to do more digging there, a little more watching of those videos too, though. But interesting stuff. Is UBI going to happen? Steve says, still to be determined, but it seems more likely after today, after the Liberal Party voted this into their policy, like actual adoption of UBI as something they want to potentially campaign on. So we'll have to see how that goes from there. Awesome, Candace. I'm glad you're writing a guide on RRSPs. They're another powerful tool for building your wealth. Oh man, awesome stuff. Should I YOLO my life savings on GME? No, I would not advise that. All right, going to check the Discord one last time, see if anyone sent anything for me to take a look at here. Personal finance. Yeah, thanks for everyone who's hopped into the Discord there too and hanging out here. We got a bunch of people in here that like to have conversations in that Discord when we're not live streaming. So if you've enjoyed being a part of the chat, we got chat going on all the time in the Discord. So link in the description where you can hop into there. How much should UBI be if it does get put through? Well, I mean, that again remains to be seen, remains to be debated, but I feel like the easiest route is to go with the $2,000 taxable. Just make it like CRB, right? This is what I think is most likely if it were to be implemented. But again, we just don't know yet. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Again, if you've been here the whole time, I've had a lot of fun on these live streams. Make sure to like this stream and send it out to more people. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're trying to grow something here that can be a place for Canadians to go get their news in as much as I possibly can, an unbiased way. Try to bring it just straight down the middle for you guys. So if you appreciate that and want to support that, tell all your friends. If I can steal something from Steve Dangle. Does anyone watch Steve Dangle? I'm a huge Leafs fan, and that's one Canadian YouTuber that I'm inspired by because I love that guy. I love the podcast. Oh man, but the point is he always says tell your friends at the end of the videos. That's why I brought it up. Man, sometimes it's hard to follow the threads of my brain. Where am I leading with this? Where am I going? Oh my goodness. Clearly I've been up too long covering this stuff. I'm going a little crazy, gang. Going a little crazy. Oh, man. Yeah, so I think now is as good a time as ever to call this stream quits. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Again, we're going to be covering this stuff, especially if there's an election in the future. We're going to be covering it all here on the channel, as well as updates on benefits, on UBI, any new news, any personal finance information. We talked about it a little bit here on the stream. I love talking about that stuff. More videos on that to come. If it interests you, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hang out with me more here in the future. And with all of that said, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Here, I'm going to do the classic video outro I always do. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope this video has helped you out at least a little bit. Or not this video, this live stream. Hope this live stream's helped you out at least a little bit. And I'll see you next time. Thanks again, everyone. I'll see you next time on this stream. Hope you have a good one.